Hey guys, I just beat Resident Evil 3 Remake, and I really loved the Resident Evil series, so much that I had even made some appearance of its games. And that's why today we will see some of the best facts about Resident Evil that I could find. Remember, if you want to support the channel, you can share the video, hit the like button and subscribe. And with that being said, let's start with the video. Resident Evil 4 has a huge fanbase, so it's really impressive that this secret took 12 years to be discovered. After the scene when an helicopter crashed, using a camera mode, you can spot a strange image of a man in green clothes standing in a building. I think it's safe to say that this is only a developer's joke, and it doesn't have explanation, but it's curious and interesting. After the huge success of Resident Evil 1, Shinji Mikami, director of the first game, started working in a sequel, Resident Evil 1.5. The game was supposed to be on PlayStation 1. It was cancelled because the Recon City they made wasn't very good. It was futuristic and boring, and the female protagonist, Elsa Walker, was a plain character. They didn't like her. You can find this game if you search on the internet, just in case you wanna play. But hey, it's not finished. Resident Evil wasn't an original game at first. It was supposed to be a 3D remake of a Capcom game called Sweet Home for the NES. Sweet Home was a horror game and an RPG. It is considered the first survival horror. It's based on a Japanese movie with the same title, Sweet Home. 5 people enter a haunted mansion to film a documentary, and the main door closed by itself. Wow, so spooky. Nah, but it had interesting ideas, like the permanent death of the characters, just like Fire Emblem. We all know these games are Resident Evil. It is the name that it was given to this masterpiece outside of Japan. But its original name is Biohazard. That's why the last 2 games of the series are called like that. The reason of the name Resident Evil was because there was already a game called Biohazard and a band. Resident Evil games are very good, and its sales confirms that. In total, the Resident Evil franchise has sold over 110 million units. This makes Resident Evil Capcom's best-selling franchise in terms of software sales, even more than Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry. By the way, the last game has sold 4.5 million of copies, and the most sold game is Resident Evil 5, with 13,440,000 copies. We think that they have made $4,432 million so far. Okay, this is not a joke. Tofu was a character created by Capcom for testing. But I guess it was too funny, and they decided to give him a minigame. It is called the Tofu Survivor, a parody of The Force Survivor, a mission where Hong, also known as Grim Reaper, had to reach an helicopter. The mission is the same, but Tofu only has knives and some herbs. By the way, he can take more damage than Hong. Take that. If Tofu manages to survive, he will be eaten by Hong. That's sad. You can play this mode in the original Resident Evil 2 and the remake. Where we start? Resident Evil 7 has a lot of reference to movies. Jack Baker is named after Jack Torrance from The Shining, Stephen King. And, well, just look at these 2 scenes. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They have a family dinner scene that is very similar. The Blair Witch Project. This is too obvious. Just look at this. Saw. Lucas, that guy saw too many Saw movies. If you understand the joke. Well, jokes aside, Lucas put Ethan into so many weird and strange games. Just like in those movies. There are more, but this video will be too long if I keep talking about that. So let's move. In Resident Evil 2 American version, you'll have a harder game experience than the one you'll have in the Japanese version. The reason? Well, in the 90s, lots of gamers didn't buy their games. They just rented it at the local Blockbuster. What can I say? It was cheaper. That's why many games were hard. They wanted that the people buy the games. Some examples are Aladdin or The Lion King, and obviously Resident Evil 2. This is so common. Japan have very strong censorships in games. For example, Call of Duty. But we're talking about Resident Evil right now. This series has suffered of variations in their Japanese versions. For example, in Resident Evil 2, the death screens weren't too violent. They just show you a "you died" text with some screams. Another example is in Resident Evil 7. Do you remember all that gore? Well, Japanese don't, because their game was changed. Look at this Japanese gameplay. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe for more of my content. I wish all of you a very special day, and goodbye.